Hey guys, I'm Phillip. I'm a Let's Player. You know me, I'm Phillip Plays on YouTube. Finally, it's been freaking while, probably like about 4 months, since I've actually recorded a video for this channel. Now, this video is gonna be a little bit more interesting. In the past few weeks, for those who don't know, tons of Let's Players and even people that make gaming content and post it on YouTube have been hit with dozens of YouTube copyright ID claims from many publishers and all that stuff. I was actually decided that I was going to do a discussion video that refers to these kind of changes and how it will not only affect content creators and networks, because they're also affected by this, but how also these changes will affect you guys as viewers as well. And join me in this discussion. I have 3 special people, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Who's going first?
That's a good question.
Fine, I'll go first. Armored Chocobo here.
Hello everybody, this is Blink.
And hey guys, Lightning here from the Lightning Plays channel.
Yep. Now, before we continue, some of you are going to go straight into the comments right now. I know there's going to be some of you out there, I know, admit it. Some of you are going to go down in the comments down below and are going to be like, hey Phil, what the heck is going on? Why do you have Blink and Lightning on your channel? Well, let's be clear about this. A few hours ago, I asked Josiah via Facebook private message on his Facebook page if he was interested in a discussion video where we would address these kinds of things, because recently I saw tons of tweets, not only from him but also from other Let's Players such as Sully Pones and Grandpa Man that address these content ID changes, and he was interested in that, and so we kind of discussed about how we're gonna do this. I want to have as much people as I possibly can. Honest to God, we tried to get a few people in here, and we successfully got one. Me, I got Chocobo to join, and Josiah got Lightning to join. Also, I tried getting Miss Say into this. Don't ask me why, but she was kind of busy with other things, so she couldn't be here. And here was Grandpa Mia, and just asked him that he had a lot of other stuff going on. And I also asked one other Let's Player to Pirate Block on YouTube, but he wasn't going to be available until Wednesday, so... And by the time I'm already going to be in a car on the way back home to Pennsylvania, so that's also a reason. Anyways, let's get right into the discussion, and talk about some of the changes that have been going on with YouTube networks and the content ID thing. So, first off, what the heck's a YouTube network? And I know some of you are going to ask about this because some of you don't know what a YouTube network is. Most of you do, but for those who don't know, YouTube networks, or as they're called, and I actually learned this kind of recently because no one ever freaking discusses about this, they're called MCNs, or multi-channel networks. And basically what they are is that you can seek talent for partnership. So if you want to make money off YouTube videos for a living, you can go to a multi-channel network, and you can be partnered with that network and start monetizing your videos and make money off of them. And you can, and I'm referring to a Steam Vlog video, on this, and also all the sources are going to be in the description below if you want to check them out. But there are several hundred multi-channel networks out there on YouTube, including some gaming ones. I know you guys, some of you have been partnered with these. Which networks are you specifically partnered with, if you are partnered with any of them?
I personally have different channels under different networks. I have some channels under RPM, which is a division of Maker, and my main channel, Blink and You Missed It, is partnered through Full Screen under Yoush.
Oh, okay. Okay. Lane, what about you? Because
For the past 2 years, I have been partnered under Full Screen as well, so there's that.
Alright. And what about you, Chocobo? If possible.
I've been proposed and turned down several networks.
I get what you feel. Honest to God, me and Chocobo are the only ones that haven't been part of YouTube networks, and we're kind of just waiting until we finally get a network to partner with. But aside from full screen, Yaosh, and RPM, there's also some other well-knowns, including Machinima, Polaris, which both that and RPM are under Maker Studios. There's also IGN and TGN as well.
I've been proposed by TGN. I had a big war with one of their representatives.
Oh, really? Oh, God, that's kind of weird. Anyways, so there are a bunch of multi-channel networks out there that you can join, especially if you're into gaming. And they offer a lot of things, which I'm not going to go over, because obviously the video I'm not referring to is in there as well. So, if you're interested in being a YouTube partner, if you want to start making money off YouTube videos, you can totally do that through a multi-channel network. And one of the things that they offer is the option to monetize videos, and that's something that we're going to get into. Because if you're part of a multi-channel network, what they used to do is that you can monetize any video that you want, and instantly you can make money off of it. There's no review process that goes into this, and some of you don't know what a review process is. We're going to get into that. I know, just from watching YouTube Let's Players of myself, I actually understand that some people have instantly monetized their videos in the past, just before these changes. Which, I swear to God, I don't think YouTube ever alerted about. I think they alerted about it on their blog, I think? I don't know. Do you think they actually alert people about that in advance, kind of before that, or...? Absolutely
as
not.
far as I know, people just started getting hit with Content ID matches, and that's through that happening. This is just from what I know. Through that happening, people started looking into it and finding out that there was a new policy coming in at the beginning of January. Now, I could be remembering wrong. It's been about a month since this whole thing started. I don't remember whether or not YouTube announced this before the claim started or after. Knowing YouTube, I would guess after. But as far as I know, people just started getting, in some cases, scores and scores, if not hundreds, of Content ID matches on their videos, especially people who did gaming content.
Oh,
and that was the first that, as far as I know, anybody had heard about anything until people did research. Now, I could be remembering that wrong. Maybe there was an announcement prior to that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I kind of understand that, honestly, and I know by the fact that, the Content ID system, which, for those who don't know, if you are eligible, you can, sign up for the Content ID thing, and, you can suggest, what kind of content, and, is eligible to be claimed, is eligible in this Content ID thing. I know Nintendo has been into that, because of the Nintendo, Content ID claims that happened last May. I'm pretty sure most of you guys, I'm pretty sure all of you were aware of that, when it happened back in May. But for those who don't know, back in May, Nintendo hit dozens of YouTube Let's Players. I know, Chugga, Nintendo Capri Sun, and Per John John, and even Steam Plays have been hit with claims from Nintendo back in May.
I can imagine Chugga, because he did primarily Nintendo content and lots of newer ones too.
Alright.
Lots of newer games, I mean.
Yeah, so, basically, Nintendo, claimed all videos, pretty much videos, that contain, from Nintendo Let's Players, and put ads on that, and they started making revenue from those videos. Those, not the content creators, which really put a dent, into the revenue that the Let's Players make from these YouTube videos. So, that was the issue. Nintendo later repented that, and restored all those claims, but then with these Content ID things, I'm pretty sure they're backed into that again. And don't you guys think?
Well, effectively, what happened in May was that Nintendo got their own YouTube channel and started activating Content ID matching on it, which basically means when if somebody puts a video up, for example, with a copyrighted song, if they put a song by Kesha on their YouTube video, then there's an automatic process when YouTube is processing the video where they will recognize that that song by Kesha is in the video, and they will default to whatever the company that manages Kesha's music has said to do in that circumstance. Usually, it is to just put advertisements on the video that only that company that distributes Kesha's music is making money off of. So the person who is putting Kesha's music on YouTube can't profit from it because they didn't make it. And so what happened was with Nintendo in May, when they started doing their Content ID matching on their YouTube channel, it was matching clips of music and gameplay footage that was in videos on that account. So when somebody had a certain clip of, let's say Super Mario Galaxy 2, if it matched footage or it matched music that was on a Nintendo channel or owned by a Nintendo label, it did the exact same thing, and it would match it in the same way that somebody putting a song of Kesha up would. So that's what happened with Nintendo in May. And the only real official statement that they did was that they were trying to come up with new ways to protect their IPs, and so they were going to, sort of look into better ways of doing that in the future. They never really made any official statement about stopping. They just sort of backed off from doing that, and everybody sort of assumed that they had completely stopped. But from what I've heard, there have still been Content ID matches over the summer, but there was just few enough of them that it wasn't some enormous outbreak like there was in May.
Oh.
So what happened now is that on January 1st, and I'm sure Philip's going to explain what the new system is going to do, but a new system for Content ID matching and copyright claiming is going to be on YouTube. And so earlier this month, YouTube sort of did a test run of it, I believe, or they began to implement the system. And essentially what that system does is, rather than defer to what companies are specifically asking YouTube to do in certain circumstances, they have automated the process so that if anything appears to match anything copyrighted, it'll automatically have the Content ID match filed and the revenue from that video taken. And what's going on with Nintendo with that is that Nintendo has, many developers have come out and said, look, we don't have any part of this. We don't want to take the revenue of the people who are doing our games. We recognize that they're awesome people and we want to help them. For example, Blizzard has been very big supporters of people doing videos of their games and are helping people to get rid of claims. Nintendo, on the other hand, has said nothing. And officially, at least, has said nothing. There's some LPers who have said that they talked to a Nintendo rep who said some nasty things, but I'm not going to really believe that until I see sources. But officially, Nintendo has not said anything, and they've not done anything different. And really, Nintendo and Sega, nobody talks about Sega, but Sega's doing this too, have really not done anything to help support LPers who have been caught in this position, and they haven't done anything to help curb these claims that are happening. And what's more, there was a rumor going around that Nintendo was going to help some channels get out of these claims, and what ended up happening to these channels was that even though they had supposedly they had assurances of help from Nintendo on the claims, they ended up getting reinstated when they were disputed. Whether that was the automated process or whether that was by Nintendo themselves remains to be seen. But effectively, the crimes of Sega and Nintendo are this, and granted, these aren't really crimes because they are, to a sense, legally protecting their IPs. But the metaphorical crimes against LPing in this is that Nintendo and Sega are doing nothing positive toward us, unlike many, many other developers are.
Yeah.
At this time.
One thing you have to be concerned about, though, is it's going to be completely automated, and once you put it in the hands of a machine, they don't discriminate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no room for fair use.
And I kind of understand that because, honest to God, with these new content ID changes and with these new network changes, because there are some changes that are happening to the networks too. Like, usually networks have a ton of freedom. Like, you can just instantly monetize a video. You don't have to go through a series of reviews. But with these new changes, that's gonna be a whole different story because now there's gonna be two different categories these off channels, which is something that we're gonna get into. Affiliates and managed. And managed channels, as far as I know, basically you get the same ratings as you normally are. It's just the same thing. But if you're affiliate, it's an entirely different story. You still have to go through that review process. Now, it could be a different review process. But otherwise, it's same as monetizing without a network. You can't monetize them instantly. They have to be reviewed by a real person, which could take about a few hours to a few days. For games, they usually ask for proof of permission, in which, honest to God, that doesn't even freaking work, even if you try. And if it doesn't pass review, it's not monetized forever. But if you continue to get successful reviews, they stop becoming so infrequent. They stop or become infrequent. And I think that was, and I think, and in general, I think that the content ID system is generally flawed because, as I said before, or earlier, for games, they ask for proof of permission. Even if you show the proof of permission for that game, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't pass, it's unmonetized forever. You have to re-upload the video and try again. And I think that was mostly because I've read this. Well, actually, I've watched this. It seems to me that YouTube is scared of these copyright issues, and it's probably because after the Viacom incident, and you guys have heard of that, right? Right, the Viacom incident.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in which
I haven't heard of it. I've been living under a rock.
The Viacom incident was basically that early on in YouTube's infancy, for a few years, there were lots and lots of copyrighted video clips and music being uploaded, and basically the suit was against YouTube because supposedly, and perhaps truly, the creators of YouTube did nothing to curb those copyrighted videos because it was bringing lots of traffic to the site, and it was one of the reasons why YouTube got as big as it did, was because that was a place people went to listen to music and watch videos of different things, and that's kind of one of the ingredients into why YouTube exploded. So Viacom came against YouTube with a gigantic lawsuit that lasted for several years. And what eventually came out was that there was a whole lot of nasty stuff that Viacom was doing as well, including things like uploading copyrighted clips of their own videos that had been made to look like they were uploaded by 12-year-old kids, just to strengthen their case that YouTube was breaking their copyright rights and things like that. So there was all kinds of nasty stuff going on. YouTube ended up winning the case, and that's it was about a year later that YouTube started making a lot of big changes because their funding could now finally go away from the legal case and into developing YouTube further and making a lot of changes. That's when we lost the star rating system, and they got replaced with like and dislike system, etc., etc. So then the other thing that has happened, actually, which I don't hear a lot of people talking about, and I, in fact, didn't know about until very recently, was that apparently the full screen network was involved in a lot of legal issues at the beginning of this year because of issues with copyright in videos uploaded by full screen partners. And this was mostly a music thing. This was a music industry thing. So between this Viacom thing and this full screen thing that happened, I would not be surprised at all if YouTube's operating out of a position of just being absolutely scared that that they're going to get under huge lawsuits and get taken out. Not that, honestly, not that since YouTube's owned by Google, they have a whole lot to be worried about, but it's still scary enough to them that if it has to do with copyright, they're overzealous to a ridiculous degree. Even if it is perfectly legal, perfectly fair use, etc., they're going to strike it if they have any inkling that it could potentially cause them damage.
Yeah, I kind of agree with. I fully understand, and some people might understand the entire Viacom is too, because this was a big thing, and that's why YouTube now has a content ID system. Even
Right.
with that, it's kind of flawed in some way.
Kinda.
Well, as I said before, or you have to go under a simple review process that usually takes about a few hours. Sometimes for games, you have to, they ask for proof of mission. That doesn't work. Like, even if you submit, a video, say something of a gameplay footage of, let's see, I want to think of something off the top of my head, but I can't. But let's just say you monetize a video footage from a video game that you really want that you really love and you want to make money off of that video. You go on the review process. They ask for permission. You give them the proof that you got permission to do this. It doesn't matter because it could go either one of two ways. It could get monetized, as the video could be successful, or it could fail and you won't have a monetized video of that game. And that's been what's been changing recently, is that networks, as far as I know, are no longer invisible. Strikes now affect the networks, which means it can destroy the networks. And honest to God, the networks are generally fighting against this. I know Maker Studios is fighting against this because Polaris, which I didn't mention before, but they used to be called the Game Station, for those who are wondering. And I think 6 months ago they rebranded themselves to Polaris. So if you've been wondering about what the heck Polaris is if you think of the Game Station, you will think of Polaris. Simple as that. But they've been alerting people who've been partnered with Polaris or any member of Maker Studios regarding these changes. And that's kind of a big deal here. Because now strikes affected networks. That's a huge problem, in my opinion. And they're fighting against that. Honest to God. So it's kind of a big thing. So now the big question asks, what are the multi-channel network channels that are going to do? Basically, anyone that's partnered with a multi-channel network. Right? I know some people are going to be going off of changing their series. I know that's been the case with with some of you guys. Some of you guys, as far as I know, that are part of multi-channel networks. I have read that some people are still going to do content for Nintendo, even though there's still content ID claims about that. That some people are breaking away from Nintendo series, or any video games made from video game publishers in general. That's what I've been hearing on Twitter, I think. So yeah, that's kind of a big thing. So for Lightning and Josiah, because you are partnered with multi-channel networks, is there anything that you're going to be doing as far as these multi-channel networks? Because obviously, for me and Chocobo, with these changes in time, it's a really bad time to join. Especially for anyone out there that's interested in a multi-channel network. Now's not the good time to join, honest to God. Alright, but as for Lightning and Josiah, what do you think? What do you have plans to do with these new changes coming into effect? Because there are obviously more in January. But what do you plan on doing?
What am I planning to do when the changes hit?
Yeah.
Personally, I'm going to wait and see what happens, what kind of videos get hit and what don't. And I'll see what is safe to upload, and I'll stick to that.
Which, in all honesty, if it just ends up that Nintendo and Sega sort of end up being the sketchy territory, that's not all that major of a deal. I mean, there are Nintendo Let's Plays I would like to do in the future, but, and I could potentially still do those Let's Plays and just forgo potential of revenue on those videos. I could do that. And I may do that possibly, but it's really going to be a waiting game, I think. I think we're going to need to wait about a few weeks to maybe a month to see what ends up happening to who, and whose videos are hit, whose aren't, what series, what developers hit, what don't, and how well the developers that have come out against this hold up the statements that they've made on social media. If Blizzard is really going to fight on our behalf, if they're really going to make sure that videos of their games are monetizable, what are they going to do to help us against this system in the coming months? That's remains to be seen. And so I think a lot of this is a waiting game. A lot of this is just seeing what comes about. But I've done a lot of talking. I'm actually curious as to what Chocobo and Lightning have to say about that.
Well, me personally, beginning of 2014 is going to be a massive turning point for most channels, including my own. So I've already begun the initiative of changing different content over to different content, specifically with companies that have given us written statements, either saying that yes, you can use our stuff, or we're okay with you, monetizing videos of our content, and so on and so forth. So until I hear otherwise, that certain companies that seem to be on the other side of the fence are completely fine with us making content of their videos, I plan on playing it safe personally, and that's just my personal recommendation. It's just playing it safe, find out which companies and which games you would be safe to use, and just go from there.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that, Lightning. And so, thanks for that response. As for other multi-channel rights, I think.
What about you, Chocobo?
Well, I'm having a little bit of a distortion over here through the Skype, but
I'm having a bit of that too, actually.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so it's just not just me.
Nah.
To be honest, most of my videos are pretty obscure, and I think they're pretty under the radar just from that. Or not even YouTube might touch them. But if they get excessive with it, I might think about changing over to a different video sharing network like Dailymotion. I know Deceased Crab, who I follow. He's now on a vacation because he's fed up not only with the content matching, but also with how they're handling their comments.
That's kind of big too. Even my channels. I think probably at the start of the year, and I think one of my past videos, which I have now deleted, has been hit with Nintendo's claims. And even I'm not on YouTube. I don't know about that. So, and honestly, I think what I did back in, when I got hit with that, when one of my videos got hit with that, is that I do that, which is if you're not a YouTube partner, just ignore it, because honest to God, if one of your videos, at least one of them, gets hit with copyright, with Content ID claims, but you're not part of a multi-channel network, you might want to leave it alone, because it probably won't affect you if you're not on a multi-channel network. But for everyone else that's in a multi-channel network, you should probably, it's best to either change your content a little bit or play it safe as to what companies are allowing monetization. And there's an entire list, if I remember, of the companies that can or cannot let you monetize their videos, which I'll put in an annotation somewhere or in the description below. That kind of specifies things. But for most of the time, it's going to be, like Josiah said, it's going to be a waiting game, because all these changes go into effect in January, and there's not enough details that explain what's going to happen. So, there are still some unknowns about this. And also, be aware that multi-channel networks don't want this, so do yourselves a favor and don't jump ship from one network to another. So, if you are part of a multi-channel network and you're hit by this, and you just want to leave the network, don't jump ship. Don't jump ship, because multi-channel networks don't want this either. Here. I do apologize for the swearing, by the way. That was kind of unintentional.
That was unintentional swearing.
Yeah, so yeah.
You have to bleep that out.
Anyways, so yeah, it's mostly gonna be a away game. Prepare for possible changes, and that's really good, clear if you're a multi-channel network. As for those non-multi-channel network channels, if you're not a multi-channel network, now's not the good time to join, because with all these changes, that's gonna hit you hard. Honest to God. And moving on into the content ID thing, because now we're done talking about the networks, and you are now aware of how this is going to affect the networks and how they're going to be fighting against that. We're in the middle of the content ID thing, because that's also been a major issue. Something that I also want to include, because I did mention that it's kind of flawed, because there's, as far as I know, there's no allowance for fair use whatsoever. For you're guilty until you're proven innocent, as far as I know, according to the Steven vlog video. And what's even included, which is kind of interesting, because I didn't know about this either. The copyright owner that claims that video has complete control of it. YouTube stays out of it whatsoever for whatever reason, I don't know. But copyright owners have complete control of what they want to do with the video. They either can monetize the video and make money out of that rather than the content creator, or delete that video entirely and give the YouTuber, give the content creator a strike. And as you'll know about the YouTube 3 strike rule, 3 strikes you're out, as they'll say, basically if you get 3 copyright strikes, your account gets suspended. And once you get those, so basically your first 2 strikes are pretty much a warning and a caution, but once you get that 3rd strike, you're done. You're done. And abuse from owners is kind of another thing too, which means they get the free money, which is kind of a ridiculous thing, because if you're doing like a let's play of a game, isn't that like free advertising? That's been the major question. You can talk about that in the comments down below.
Well, if you see most of the Let's Plays out there, some of them are arguing against, actually advertisement against playing the game.
Well, that's kind of too.
They'll be just playing the game and go, oh my god, this sucks.
The question is not... Oh, I'm sorry. The question is not whether or not it gives free advertising. I think that people fall back on that way too much, because it's so subjective. It's such a subjective thing to say, because when you're giving... I mean, yes, you are giving it potentially more exposure, but as Jugaboo just said, that's not necessarily advertising in the sense that, you know, everybody is always positive about it all the time in the way that an advertisement would be about a product. What we do, however, is provide transformative commentary about and reviewing of games. And one of the things that really irritates me about this entire debacle is the fact that I could understand, honestly, Let's Plays being, I wouldn't like it, but I could understand Let's Plays being kind of banned from monetization because of the fact that 99% of Let's Plays are intended to cover the entire game. There's people who just do little gameplay videos and stuff, but, you know, I know for me, most of the games I have Let's Played, I have done from beginning to end.
And there's something to be said there that perhaps it could be argued that somebody who watched my Let's Play would not feel as inclined to buy the game. In my opinion, that simply means that it's a bad Let's Play, because I have purchased games, many games in fact, based on Let's Plays I've watched, but that's up to argument, that's very subjective. With reviews, as transformative as our commentary is on a Let's Play video, reviews are another thing entirely. Somebody like Cadicarus getting hit, or somebody like The Completionist getting hit, or Angry Joe Show, or whoever getting hit because of their video game reviews is appalling, because those are specifically and explicitly clips of video and sound of the video games being used in the most pure form of fair use, in that they're using them to review the game, give educational, informative perspective on the game itself. And so the fact that even someone who is reviewing a game in the purest sense of fair use can get hit by one of these strikes is ridiculous to me. I could understand Let's Plays, I wouldn't like it, but I could understand it. I do not understand at all reviewers, but that's just a byproduct of the automated system.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. I'm pretty sure all of you guys, because all of us are pretty much Let's Players, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys who are Let's Players as well who are watching this, we can all agree that most of the time, the Let's Plays that we do are games that we go from beginning to end. I know that's been the case with Josiah's, because most of his Let's Plays go from beginning to end. I know Chugga's, most of his, Chugga's, John's, Nintendo Capri's Sons, even Steam Plays and Masanella, most of their Let's Plays are going to go from beginning, are games that go from beginning to end. And that also kind of goes of mine too, because when I did Portal back last year, it was kind of a new experience for me, because I've never actually played the game before. I've never played a Portal, so it was the first time I ever played Portal 1 in my entire life, and I went through that from beginning to end. Of course, there were some deaths that were on that.
Some. I was there. It was more than some.
Yeah, there was a lot of mess-ups, but most of the time, I'm pretty sure everyone can agree on this. Let's Plays, 99% of them are going to be games, and we're going to do them from start to finish. But back into the content things, some of the claims, as well, some of them are erroneous claims, or just fake claims whatsoever. And I'm not sure what some content creators are saying about that. Well, I mean, what some game publishers are thinking about that. Because I already know, we already heard about the thing with Blizzard and Ubisoft. But there are other game companies that have been aware of this. Most of them don't even hear about the current issues that content creators have today. Okay, like, for example, a statement from Deep Silver, the company behind Metro Last Light and Dead Island. They released a statement about this, and how messed up and how complicated the situation with the Content ID thing has been. And they want to help out, and this also goes the same thing with other publishers, such as Naughty Dog, the people that are behind Uncharted and The Last of Us, which I know Steven completed that, I think like a few weeks ago. And even Blizzard and Ubisoft, as Blank has mentioned, even Capcom has been onto this. They have been fully aware of this whatsoever. And in an article that I'm reading on Game Informer, they're offering to help users clear false claims. So, as a good advice, if you're getting tons of these claims, listings, and some of these claims you might not know are even fake. Some of these you might not even know why they were claimed in the first place. These companies, they have dedicated the last few weeks helping YouTubers in this issue. So go to Capcom, go to Blizzard, go to even Ubisoft or Naughty Dog. Because honestly, God, they're like, hey, if your videos have been flagged with false copyrights that haven't been done by us, let us know. We want to help out. So that's kind of the thing here. I know most articles, including GameSpot, Game4, and even Forbes, they've been, and even Kotaku themselves, these companies have been aware of this. Some of them might not even know about this until now, and they want to help out, clear up some of these false claims. That's the entire thing. Furthermore, basically, what happened was, long story short, YouTube just flipped the entire switch. Which basically, because now multi-channel networks are checked for content ID, which, God knows why the hell would they ever do that? I don't freaking get it. What do you guys think? Kind of a hard
What do
one.
we think about why they kind of pulled the whole switch?
Yeah, because as far as I know, multi-channel networks are now checked for content ID. So now the system strikes now affect these networks. Which, honestly, God, I think that could really destroy the networks. If some people are not careful with these kinds of things, because this is kind of a serious issue. And I know that people everywhere are being hit hard with this. Not just the network, not just content creators such as you and Lightning, but also alongside with anyone else that's part of the multi-channel network, right? And themselves. So that's kind of a serious thing. But yeah, back to the explanation of why YouTube decided to flip the switch and multi-channel networks are now checked for content ID, even though that never happened. That rarely ever happens. Back in the past. So that's why I want to know.
I don't think this was specifically about gaming content. I think this was more implemented because of the thing that happened with full screen and music, and that gamers kind of were caught in the crossfire. I'm not convinced that YouTube specifically went, let's implement a system that's going to screw gamers over, because the number one channel on YouTube, the number one YouTuber on YouTube is a gaming channel, PewDiePie. Like something like a third of the top 100 channels that are not music channels at the top of YouTube are gaming channels. It's a colossally huge money-making force on YouTube. So I don't specifically think that YouTube is out to get us. I think that they're implementing a really, really crappy policy, and I think it was the scare with the music having to do with the full screen network at the beginning of the year that was one of the things that pulled the trigger.
In short, gaming is collateral damage.
Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm not even gonna lie. So yeah, that's kind of been happening recently, and that's one thing. I'm gonna agree with Josiah on this one. This doesn't affect just gamers, as he said, but it also affects anyone else that uploads, say, music, or even music clips or movie clips. Because content ID also, because if you're part of a multi-channel network, it's not just for gaming channel networks. It's also for any other networks out there, including music networks and even movie networks. I'm not sure about that one though. But most of the time, as you said, it's probably gonna be either game or music, but it's mostly gonna affect anyone with uploads copyrighted content tries to make money off of it. So that's my general opinion. And honestly, anyways, so even though there's been a lot of disputes with copyright these things, I'm pretty sure that YouTube is gonna stick with that. They're gonna stand by that. They're not gonna go back. Even if you want to just ask YouTube to just go back to the system, I have a doubt that they're gonna ever do that. Because in general, they usually to move on with different things. Like, I know it's been a big issue with not only just the content ID system, but also with some things in the past, like new home page and channel designs. I know pretty much a ton of people have been pissed with the YouTube signs when they were first announced. I think back earlier in the year, that's been a big thing. But I'm pretty sure people have grown that. Although I think some of you, I know, any of you out there you better admit it, that you at first stated that the new YouTube channel design when it was first announced. I was like, I know some people have expressed that. Honest to God. But with this content piece, I think they're literally going to stand by that thing and and in an article from Game Industry International, from what I read already, YouTube is telling content creators to consider turning off background music in order to avoid claims from music companies. Or even if you're doing video, gaming, or comedy, the content system will identify any video that uses images or that matches YouTube's database of content material.
What I'm curious about is how relevant is this database? Like you say, they'll be looking for video clips and music clips from games to content match. How old is their database? Does it go back half a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years?
Right, like how old of a game do you have to be LPing in order to be safe?
Yeah, they can't possibly have a video clip for content matching for something that was made in the SNES era.
Well, here's the thing. You know how Nintendo just released the Wii U game NES Remix? I would be convinced it's very possible that because of that game, NES LPs of those games could get hit with content ID.
It's very possible, but those are all big IP games anyway, so...
Well, they are, but I think that how old the game is, how safe an old game is less dependent on actually how old it is, and more dependent on how recently has it had a re-release. I think that's going to be the defining factor, especially with Nintendo, because if they release a video of, let's say, the first 10 minutes of the original Legend of Zelda game because they're doing some Wii U promotion for the Virtual Console, then it's very possible that because of that video, part one of a ton of people's LPs of the first Legend of Zelda game could get content ID.
Yeah, so you be careful even with that, too.
Exactly. So it really is dependent on how recently a re-release or a remaster or something like that has come out. Now, for me, I think I've gotten 10 claims total on my channel. 9 of them, I believe. Or, I'm sorry, maybe it's 10 or 11. All but 2 of them are from my Super Mario Galaxy 2 Let's Play, and all of those are music clips. And Nintendo is the one who claimed them, supposedly.
Oddly, I only got 2 matches. One was on a music video that I did for a game, but that I said, yeah, that's from that, and I gave credit and all that. So
right.
That wasn't a strike. The other one has claimed on a video, and it said it was like a video clip match, but it couldn't possibly be a match to anything but Nintendo, and Nintendo wasn't the one making the claim. And there was nothing on the dispute saying, content doesn't even belong to the person that's claiming it. So I just had to say, no, I'm not even making money off that. That's all I had to do.
Yeah, and that also goes back to what I said. If you're not in a multi-channel network, if you're not monetizing your videos, and then you get claims, just leave it alone, because it doesn't affect you, because you're not part of a network, or you're not monetizing your videos. Content, however, for those in multi-channel networks, and this kind of goes along with what I wanted to talk about. In that same article, they said, and in quote, false positives have been a problem. I mean, game developers and musicians received claims on these for which they even hold all the rights to, which really blows my mind. Like, what the heck is going on here?
So basically, your account is at risk because of, oops, we messed up.
Exactly. And YouTube has never been good about their copyright system. I mean, does anybody remember Conjopi? I know Lightning.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a perfect example of YouTube having a completely broken system, because the whole point of the system was to make sure that if you owned the copyright, you could quickly and easily put a claim on it, so that you couldn't accuse YouTube of making it, really hard to protect your own stuff. But what ended up happening was we had these people false flagging a ton of videos, which was just stupid. It was just a bunch of bullcrap. It wasn't true.
Yeah, and
it's
keep in mind,
so open to abuse.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this all happened back in the summer of 2010. This is not just a recent thing. This has happened back in the summer. I know certain Let's Plays certain people have been affected by this. Not just gamers, but also other people as well. I know that Let's Players, there's Emil and Tim, Chugga Conrad and Top Person, they've been hit with Conjopi that hard, and that was some of the major controversy with Conjopi, which was really mind-blowing. But alongside with that, not only, but what doesn't explain is why. I know that YouTube's copyright system is not in a really good up shape, as is in the past years. But I don't understand why the piss would they ever why these false, why, what, alright, let me just reword that, because I don't think it kind of makes sense. I know that some game developers and musicians and hold all the rights to some of their stuff, but what doesn't explain is why they now suddenly get claims on these videos even though they hold all the rights. That's kind of the main bummer. And as much as they want to keep yelling at YouTube and saying, hey, what the business wrong with these? You hold the freaking rights to these. I doubt that's ever going to get disputed at some point. Do you guys agree?
I'm not 100% on what you're supposed to be saying, but a Let's Player can never claim any of their videos as entirely theirs. They've offered about 20% of the content.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. See, that's been the main issue with that, and that's been it's kind of constantly ridiculous, as well. And we're actually kind of running short a little bit on time, so just as one thing to note about something that can happen in the future, if these changes do happen, do be prepared, because if the reviews are the same, the multi-channel networks are then going to lose value, and that's a worry for them. And if that's the case, then content for your favorite YouTubers are going to change. And that's a major bullet point on that one.
It'll be interesting to see how developers and networks end up responding to this whole thing. I honestly think the only reason we haven't heard from people like Markiplier and PewDiePie, people who are really high up there in popularity,
don't mention that name.
Because, well, which name? Markiplier or PewDiePie, or both?
The latter.
PewDiePie, honestly, I respect PewDiePie for the success he's built. I don't like his videos, but I have a lot of respect for what he's been able to
Actually,
build.
I don't want to derail this, but I could just say, can you really call it success?
Being the number one non-corporate
I've seen
channel
lots of
on
proof that he
YouTube.
just won the YouTube lottery.
Well, there's a lot to that, but there's a lot of things to that have been theorized. But ultimately, I think the only reason that they have not made statements about this is because they kind of built themselves up on primarily indie games, and indie games don't have these gigantic legal teams to
They can still say that there's a content match, though.
They could, but most
I'm curious
indie
if that
games most indie game developers don't want to do that because they recognize the benefit. They see the exposure that their game gets when somebody does a video of their game and that video gets 2 million views, and all of a sudden, oh, holy crap, we got another 10,000 sales off of that video. That's ridiculous. So I think that they recognize the benefit, and I think that that's why people who have done indie games up until now probably are not going to suffer all that much. Even if some indie companies decide to do some claiming, I think that it's going to be primarily people who have done the AAA, big publisher titles that are going to end up suffering from this, because those are the companies that have the clout primarily to decide whether or not they want to support their fan base.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the devil protects their own. But at least I'm worried. I'm worried about like Chugga and Proton because they obviously are not doing indie games.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing too.
And they're at least sort of nice guys. So.
Right.
If you bet. Anyways, we're getting running a little bit short on time, so I'm just gonna flash forward. Just to wrap things a little bit as one final thing. And what do all three of you think in general about these upcoming changes? Because we already know about a few changes that already went into effect, but there's obviously going to be more that are going to be coming out in January. So I want to know from all three of you, what do you think about these network and content ID changes in general?
If I can take the floor here. Actually, I don't think that this is all negative. I know that this is a relatively bad thing, and it's gotten a lot of bad publicity, and yeah, it's not good. But there are a lot of positives that can be taken out of the situation. Content creators, this is your chance to really branch out your library of games, to branch out to different audiences, to try something new, rather than just sticking with the same old things. And what an amazing time to be an indie developer who actually allows content to be created of their game, because with so many of these major companies like Nintendo, Sega, we have to turn to something else now, and indie games are going to be the dominant source of videos, I would assume, in the near future if this continues or worsens. And companies like Valve and Riot Games and Bethesda, Blizzard, and wait, was Bethesda on that list? I don't remember, but companies like that, they are particularly awesome for allowing us to continue to make content of their games, and hopefully people will look at that and follow suit, but only time will tell. And to people watching Let's Plays, to the audiences out there, I know change is hard, but just try to keep in mind what is going on. Try to keep in mind the changes and sacrifices that some of these channels are having to make to follow the new restrictions of YouTube's current copyright system. No one likes change. No one likes to see the same old things you guys have watched from a single channel change and differ drastically, but, maybe it's, it could be for the best, honestly. Like, just, you could find something new that you may have never seen before because of these changes. So, personally, I know it's bad, but I don't think it should be taken as, all negative. We should really look at the positives and just try to go from that.
It's kind of a nice little nudge out of our comfort zone if you look at it that way. That was a really well stated light.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's no longer going to be, if Content ID works the way it's supposed to, there's no longer going to be 1 million Pokemon Let's Plays on YouTube. Because obviously Nintendo will content it.
Those will keep going. I mean, people did the most popular games before there was money involved, and they'll do the most popular games after money's involved. It just won't be quite as prevalent as it is now, I don't think.
Well, any reduction is a good reduction.
Yeah.
Be a bit more original with your choices.
Yes, be more original. We're actually kind of running short, so I'm just gonna wrap this type thing up. So
I think that if I could just add this real quick, I think it's more of a sky is falling kind of thing, because if they go through with this and stick with it, there's going to be so much backdraft from all the people coming down on YouTube about it, and it's either going to be leading to a lot of complaints and giving YouTube a lot of bad publicity, or a mass exodus to the other video types of networks. And they're either going to end up saying, either reducing or changing how they're going to do it, or they're just going to just back away from it completely. Because it looks bad for YouTube either way.
I kind of agree with that. And anyways, so just as a quick reminder, there are a few things. Change is coming. As stated, to be prepared for those in January. Right, and be prepared for series or content changes that could be happening to your favorite channels. So be prepared and be more hopeful for more developers aligned monetization. I know most developers, there's Blizzard, Ubisoft, Naughty Dog, Capcom, they're all fighting against this kind of thing. They want to help out you guys. If you've been affected by these, if you're part of a multi-channel network and you've been affected by any of these false claims, go to them. Because they, honest to God, they want to help you out. In addition, there are still a few unknown. So, just as something to add, just wait until these go into effect. Because even though you all know some things have been going on in the past weeks, you don't know all of them. And hopefully we will find out more about those as well. And as one last thing, the networks, Polaris, RPM, Fullscreen, IGN, and TGN, Yaush, and even Michelle, they're all fighting against this too. So do be prepared for what's expected to come when January arrives. Anyways, I think that'll be it for this discussion video. I'd like to thank Josiah, Lightning, and Chocobo for joining me in this discussion.
You're welcome. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Yep, I'm here too.
All three of your channels can be available in the annotations and also in the video description down below. So do check them out. Do subscribe. Then they bring out tons of good content there, and they're really good people that you should definitely follow. All the sources that I've mentioned, you can find all of them in the description below. They're really good sources. The CM Vlog video is also available down there too if you want to check it out. It's a really good 1 hour and 10 minutes to watch, so it's worth the time watching, because there's a lot of stuff that you want me to know, and if you want to know about anything else, that video is there below. Any additional questions regarding network and content ID, changes, or any of the stuff that we talked about in this discussion video, let us know in the content below, on Facebook or on Twitter or anywhere, private message, anywhere. Hopefully one of us or someone down below is going to help answer that question. Anyways, that's it for this video. Do feel free to subscribe to all the channels that have joined me, including Phillip Plays It's Health. If you enjoyed this discussion video, do like it and do share it with people. If you want to send me more discussion videos or more collaborations with any other Let's Players, let me know in the comments down below. I really want to know if you're interested in that stuff. And with that being said, we're going to sign this off. So until then, I've been Phillip. I'm a Let's Player here, and alongside with...
I think he wants us to say our own names.
Lightning Blaze.
Blake.
Armored Chocobo.
Yes, and we're all Let's Players, and until next time, we will catch you all later. Here, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.